While I was tidying up the apartment, I stumbled upon a signed divorce agreement. I filed it immediately. My husband was stunned. It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon, the sun was bright. I was cleaning my husband Lucas Chen's study as usual. The vacuum hummed, gliding over every inch of the carpet. At the bottom desk drawer, the broken lock one. The vacuum had accidentally pulled it open. It was crammed with junk. An old phone, expired business cards, a few seals, and several bulging document folders. I knelt down to straighten it all up. But my fingers brushed against the hard corner of a file. I pulled it out without thinking. It was a plain manila envelope. I untied the string and slid out the papers inside. Bold, black letters on the top page hit me first. Divorce papers. My breath caught in my throat. Reading further, the terms were chillingly detailed. The property. We paid the mortgage together. Savings division. It even specified who gets the rosewood furniture. My name, Sophie Wanqingsu, was listed as Party B. The signature line after it was blank. But the line for Party A, Lucas Chen. Signed confidently 6 months ago. 6 months ago. I tried to remember. 6 months ago, my father was hospitalized with heart problems. I wanted to take leave to go back home and care for him. Lucas? He said no, citing an important project review coming up. He told me to prioritize his career. We had a huge fight. He slammed the door and left. We were in a cold war for days. Was that why? In a fit of anger, he'd gone to a lawyer? Drafted and even signed the papers already? It felt like an icy hand was squeezing my heart. At first, there was just numbness. Then, a sharp, searing pain began to spread. I stared at that familiar signature. Every stroke of it screamed finality. So, half a year ago. Divorce was clear in his mind, maybe earlier. And he'd acted on it. Just waiting for me, the fool, to sign on the dotted line. To seal the ending he'd already written. I clung to this home growing colder by the day. Making soup for him, ironing his shirts. Dealing with his perpetually critical and bitter mother. Catherine Wong. Feeling happy for every promotion and raise he got. Even though it meant less time together. And more lonely nights waiting. I'd been naive enough to think he was just too busy. That once this project was over, we could go back to how things were. How utterly laughable. I slowly, page by page, read through the entire agreement. The terms heavily favored him, but at least he left me some crumbs. Not completely stripped bare, I suppose. His lawyer must have some semblance of a conscience. Or maybe, just maybe, Lucas Chen still harbors a shred of pity he doesn't even realize he's giving. I closed the file, slid it back into the manila envelope, tied the cotton string exactly as it was, returned it to the drawer. I even adjusted the angle. Made sure it looked untouched. After all that. I took off the gloves, walked to the window. In the garden below. Neighbors' children were playing, their laughter sharp and clear. The sun was warm on my face, but a deep chill settled in my bones. So, the death sentence for this marriage was signed long ago. And I, the condemned, was kept blissfully in the dark. Foolishly waiting for a reprieve that was never coming. Fine. If this is what he wants, he can have it. No tears. No scene. I turned and left the study. I put the vacuum away. Washed the mop, hung it to dry. Then I walked into the bedroom. Opened the closet. My side, not much there. Simple styles. I stared for a long time, then shut the door. Not time to pack yet. There's something else I need to do first. Monday morning. Lucas Chen left at the usual time. Crisp suit, hurried steps. A mumbled "don't wait up for dinner" at the door. He left without looking back. His back disappeared behind the closing metal doors. The doors shut softly, heavy. In the hollowed-out cavity of my heart. No echo. I changed into going-out clothes. A plain blouse, beige trousers, a light trench coat. The woman in the mirror was pale. But her eyes were unnervingly calm. I carefully brushed my hair. Applied a touch of lipstick. Then I walked back into the study, took out that manila envelope again. This time, I didn't open it. I just put it in my bag, checked my ID and the household register. Everything in order. Then I left the apartment. The clerk's office was cold. I took a number. Sat on the chilly metal bench to wait. A few young couples nearby were there for marriage licenses. Their faces glowing with unrestrained joy. Whispering together, heads close. The contrast was stark. My number was called. I walked to the window. The clerk was a woman in her 40s. What are you here for today? To file for divorce. Handed over the documents, my voice steady. Clerk takes materials, reviews agreement. She glances up at me again, her eyes holding a bit more scrutiny. Both parties have signed the agreement. They signed. I point to the signature line under partia. The husband signed it 6 months ago. She checks signature, date, proceeds. She processes by the book, enters data. Asked if voluntary, I pause briefly. Then I answer clearly, yes, it's voluntary. At least it is now. I sign forms, press fingerprint. Clerk hands me divorce acceptance receipts. 1 month cooling off period. Either party can withdraw. After that, we collect certificate in person. Understood. Thank you. I take the receipts, fold them carefully. Tuck away. Exit office, harsh sunlight. I stand on the steps and take a deep, deep breath. No collapse, no tears. That heavy stone that's been hanging in my heart seems to have finally dropped. It landed with a painful thud. At least it's over. Not going home. I pass by a coffee shop I used to frequent. I go in, order a hot Americano, and take a seat by the window. The coffee is bitter. But I need that bitterness to keep myself sharp. How am I going to get through the next month? Play the part of the clueless wife like before? Wait for him? No, can't anymore. Since the decision's made, I might as well go all in. I start calculating, cold and clear. The house is Lucas Chen's premarital property. We paid mortgage. Agreement gives half my payments plus appreciation. There's also a bit of savings. The split won't be much, but it's enough for me to get by for now. Work? I'm an admin at a design firm. The pay's average, but it's stable. Maybe I can try picking up some freelance gigs. I passed on a lot of opportunities before, to take care of the home. And a place to live. I definitely can't stay there after the divorce. Need to rent a place. Small is fine. Clean, safe, near work. I take phone. Open a rental app, start browsing listings nearby. Bookmark decent prices. Coffee done. Plan formed. Return to empty house. I lock the receipt in my personal safe. Put it with the few pieces of jewelry my mother left me. Then I start my usual routine, cleaning, making dinner. Lucas comes home very late that night. Drunk, he collapsed on the couch. I poured him a glass of warm water and set it on the coffee table. I turned and went back to the guest room. I'd been sleeping there. He either hadn't noticed the change or simply didn't care. The next day, I went to work as usual. During breaks, I quietly started putting together my portfolio. I studied design in college, too. Back then, Lucas said he needed a stable home base. So I took this admin job. I dug out some of my old sketches, refined and polished them. Then I reached out to an old classmate, one who now runs her own design studio, to see if she had any freelance work. That evening at home, I kept at it on my computer. Sometimes Lucas would poke his head in and ask what I was working on. Just some things from the office, I'd say. He'd just grunt. And leave it at that. We spoke less and less. Like two strangers sharing a lease. But neither of us broke the silence. He probably thought I was still sulking over what happened 6 months ago. Or maybe he just found me dull and boring now. He was busy with his career, too preoccupied to dig deeper. Fine by me. It saved a lot of unnecessary hassle. Financially, I started consciously cutting back. No more expensive skincare. No more weekly flower deliveries, even grocery shopping got a budget. Lucas probably thought I'd become stingy. He mentioned offhand once if money was tight. I shook my head. It's fine. This isn't some petty protest. I'm just preparing for the life I'm about to start. On my own. Beneath the calm surface. I was quietly gathering strength. Finally finding a crack of light. Straining its roots toward it. Storing up energy. During this time, my mother-in-law, Catherine Wong, dropped by. She always had a key, letting herself in unannounced. The moment she stepped inside, her eyes swept over every corner, like searchlights. Sophie, dear, the floors look a bit dusty. Haven't you been cleaning properly? Our Lucas works so hard all day. He shouldn't come home to a messy place. It's unacceptable. Her voice was shrill, utterly without tact. I didn't rush to explain or apologize like I used to. I just said calmly, Mom, I clean every day. It might just be windy today. Windy? More like lazy. She walked over to the sofa and ran a finger along the armrest, as if expecting to wipe up a handful of grime. And what about what I mentioned last time? Have you thought it over? My friend recommended a TCM doctor for infertility. You've been married for 5 years and still no baby bump. I'm embarrassed just talking about it. Maybe there's something wrong with you. You should get checked out. Children. It's his eternal topic. And his weapon to control and humiliate me. For the past 5 years. I've heard it countless times. Drank countless bowls of bitter, unknown concoctions. Endured countless humiliating tests, all showing I'm perfectly normal. If I'm not pregnant, it's my fault. I used to endure it. I would have been submissive. But today, watching her lips move, I only felt a cold, numb disgust. Mom, having a child involves 2 people. And we're not considering it right now. My tone was flat, without inflection. Not considering? What gives you the right to not consider it? A woman's primary duty is to bear children for her husband's family. You can't even manage that. What did Lucas Chin marry you for? To be a trophy wife? Look at yourself, do you even qualify? Her words grew uglier, her finger almost jabbing my face. I took a step back, avoiding her finger. I looked her straight in the eye. Mom, this is my home. It's Lucas's home too. The matter of children is between us, husband and wife. If there's nothing else, you should go. I have some work to do. Catherine Wong probably didn't expect me to push back like that, firm but not aggressive. She paused. Her anger flared. How dare you kick me out? Let me tell you something. Sophie Wan Ching Su, you don't run this household. Just wait until Lucas gets home. We'll see how he deals with you. Then you can discuss it with him when he gets back. I walked to the study, done talking. She continued cursing and muttering in the living room for a while. She slammed the door. I leaned against it, listening to the violent slam. I wasn't afraid. I just felt a numb, almost detached calm. Seems like this will be over for good soon. 1 week later, through a classmate's referral, I landed my first freelance job, designing a logo and business cards for a small brand. The pay wasn't much, but it gave me hope. I threw myself into it. I often worked late in the study, revising designs. A month passed like sand through an hourglass, slipping away silently. In those 30 days, Lucas remained busy, leaving early and coming home late. On the rare occasions he was home, he was buried in work in his study. Our communication was limited to dinners ready. I slept, and the necessary words like that. He didn't seem to notice anything different at home at all. Didn't notice I moved into the guest room. Didn't notice I started coming home late. Didn't even notice the growing distance and calm in my eyes. Maybe it's better this way. At least the ending won't be so awkward. The first workday after the cooling-off period ended. I got up early, carefully did my makeup, picked out a sharp, tailored suit, pulled my hair into a clean, low ponytail. Looking at the woman in the mirror, eyes clear, back straight. I gave myself a nod. Then I took out my phone and dialed Lucas Chen's number. He answered after many rings, background noisy. Sounded like he was between meetings. Sophie? What is it? His voice held the usual irritation of someone interrupted, but still restrained. Lucas. I said his name, my voice steady and clear. Are you free today? I need you to go to the county clerk's office. Silence on the other end for 2 seconds. Then came his confused, almost amused voice. The county clerk's office? What for? What game are you playing, he likely thought. Or trying to get his attention this way. Divorce. I said the word, clean and sharp. The 1-month cooling off period ends today. We both need to be there to finalize it. A longer silence. I could almost picture his expression. First stunned. Then disbelief. Finally probably thinking I'm being unreasonable. Sophie Wanqingsu. His voice dropped. Laced with suppressed anger and impatience. Haven't you had enough of this drama? I'm swamped lately. I don't have time for your childish games. What divorce cooling off period? What nonsense are you spouting now? It's not nonsense. My tone remained calm. Even cold. A month ago, I filed a divorce application at the county clerk's office. The papers you signed, dated 6 months ago. The cooling off period is over. Time to make it official. Papers I signed? 6 months ago? Lucas's voice shot up. Full of sheer absurdity. Absurd. Sophie, have you lost your mind? When did I ever sign anything like that? Seeing things? Hallucinating? Hallucination or not, you'll see. 2 p.m. At the county clerk's office. If you don't show, I'll file a lawsuit. The papers have your signature. It's legally binding. I didn't wait for him to start yelling or questioning me again. I hung up directly and temporarily blocked his number. I needed him to calm down, and I needed him to face this in person. This reality, set in motion by his own hand, yet completely forgotten. 1:50 p.m. A familiar black sedan came speeding up. It screeched to a halt right outside the county clerk's office. Lucas Chen pushed the car door open and got out. He wasn't even wearing his suit jacket, just a shirt. His tie was loose, his hair a mess. His face was a dark mask of mingled anxiety, fury, and utter disbelief. He strode over to me in a few large steps. He grabbed my arm, his grip painfully tight. Sophie, what the hell are you playing at? What papers? Explain yourself. His breathing was ragged. His eyes were bloodshot, fixed on me with an intense glare. As if searching my face for any sign this was a prank. I gently pulled my arm free. I took out the receipt for the divorce application filing. Holding it up for him to see. See for yourself. Lucas snatched the receipt from my hand. His eyes scanned the text frantically. When he saw the applicants, Sophie Wanqingsu, Lucas Chen. Cooling off period ended. Proceed with divorce registration. His pupils constricted sharply. The color visibly drained from his face. He looked from the paper to me, then back again. The anger in his eyes dissolving into vast confusion and shock. His lips trembled. This can't be. When did I apply? I had no idea. Sophie, you forged this. I didn't forge anything. I kept my voice calm. I submitted the application. But you signed the agreement. Check the clerk's office archives. Go inside and have them pull the file. Or have your company's legal team verify the handwriting. My words seemed to freeze Lucas in place. He stood rigid, clutching that thin piece of paper. His knuckles were white from the force. He looked shocked and bewildered. Then a dawning, horrifying clarity of recollection. 6 months ago, he muttered, his gaze turning hollow. That fight 6 months ago. I was drunk. Some lawyer friend joked. Said he'd draft some papers to scare you. I think I just signed it. He finally remembered. That piece of paper he'd treated as a drunken joke, signed on a whim and tossed from his mind, had actually been formalized by the lawyer into a real agreement. And today, 6 months later, it's become the undeniable basis for my divorce filing. He remembers. I watch the kaleidoscope of emotions on his face. But inside, there's no ripple. Just a barren calm. Lucas, you signed the agreement. You were the one who thought of divorce first. Right now, I'm just helping you finish what you wanted half a year ago. No, it wasn't like that. Lucas, jolted as if burned, snaps back to reality. He grabs my shoulders, his voice laced with panic and urgency. Wanqing, that was just drunken nonsense. I never wanted a divorce. That agreement doesn't count. I'll go find that lawyer right now, make him revoke it. Let's just go home, okay? Stop this. He's babbling. Trying to pull me away. I stand my ground, letting him hold me. But my voice is ice cold. It wasn't nonsense. Black and white. Your signature. It's legally binding. And for this whole month, I gave you a chance to change your mind. Cooling off period. Either party could withdraw. Did you get the county clerk's texts? Read them? Did you ask me a single question? My barrage of questions leaves him speechless. He probably never paid attention to those unfamiliar official texts. Or just deleted them as spam. This whole month. He was buried in his project. Blind to me, to this home. He opens his mouth. His face ashen. His grip on my arm slowly slackens, as if all his strength has drained away. He looks at me. His eyes filled with a strange, distant look, and a belated, overwhelming panic. He finally realizes. I'm not throwing a tantrum. I'm not trying to scare him. I'm serious. So, I take one last look at this man I shared a bed with for 5 years, who now looks so utterly foreign and pathetic. And I say calmly, let's go in. Get it done. Don't make this any more humiliating than it has to be. With that, I turn and walk into the county clerk's office first. Lucas remains standing there, like a statue whose support has suddenly been kicked away. It takes him several seconds before he stumbles after me. The air conditioning inside the office is blasting. We're called up. Sitting at the window for divorce proceedings. It's the same clerk from last time. She glances at us, her eyes shifting between my calm face and Lucas's devastated expression. She doesn't say much, just starts the process. Need to confirm IDs again. Sign. Fingerprint. When the red ink pad is placed in front of Lucas, his hand hovers in the air, trembling slightly. He doesn't press down. He looks up at me. His eyes were filled with struggle and pleading, and a trace of disbelief that hadn't yet fully dissipated. Sophie, his voice was hoarse, practically forced out from his throat. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes. Mr. Chen, a staff member, reminded him. Her tone flat but carrying an undeniable professional firmness. Please cooperate with the procedure. If you can't decide now, you may come back another day, but you'll need to queue again. Lucas flinched as if pricked by a needle. He abruptly withdrew his gaze, looking down at the blank space on the document waiting for his fingerprint. That tiny square seemed to weigh 1,000 tons. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath, eyes bloodshot. With a kind of desperate, all-or-nothing resolve, he pressed his thumb down hard. The bright red fingerprint was clearly imprinted on the paper, next to his own flamboyant signature from 6 months prior. A belated, reluctant confirmation. 2 maroon divorce certificates were slid across the counter. The staff member gave a few instructions regarding the implementation of the property settlement agreement, then gestured that we could leave. I picked up the one that belonged to me. Without even looking at it, I slipped it into my bag, stood up, and prepared to leave. Sophie. Lucas suddenly stood, his chair legs scraping the floor with a sharp screech. He grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight I winced. We need to talk. Now. His composure finally shattered. It was no longer the dazed shock from before, but a wave of immense panic and a kind of furious humiliation. People waiting in line turned to look. I forcefully pulled my hand free. My voice was low, but clear. Lucas, this isn't the place. If you want to talk, fine. But not now. And not here. I turned and left, leaving him and his barely contained turmoil behind. The summer heat hit me as I stepped outside. I hurried to the curb, hailed a taxi, and gave the address of a cafe near my office. I needed a place that was relatively quiet, public, but not somewhere he could easily cause a scene. I'd barely been seated at a corner table for 10 minutes when Lucas burst in. He'd obviously followed the taxi. Sweat on his brow, his shirt collar askew. His eyes scanned the room sharply before quickly locking onto me. He strode over and dropped heavily into the chair opposite me. Sophie Wanqingsu. He planted his hands on the table. He leaned forward, his lowered voice tight with anger and urgency. Tell me, what the hell is going on with that document? I signed that when I was drunk. I had no idea it became a formal filing. Why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you tell me? You just went and filed for divorce, just like that? What the hell do you take me for? His accusations came at me rapid fire. I took a sip of the iced lemon water in front of me. The cool drink cleared my head. I put the glass down, Lucas. Meeting his furious gaze head on. That agreement? I found it in the drawer of your study. It was dated 6 months ago. That means, for at least 6 months, the option of divorce was clearly in your mind. And you took action. You had a lawyer draft it. You signed it. Drunk or not, that signature is real. I paused, watching the color drain further from his face. As for why I didn't ask you, I gave a soft, bitter laugh. I did ask you, Lucas. I asked you so many times. I asked you why you were always so busy. I asked if this family even mattered to you anymore. I asked what was really wrong between us. And what was your answer? I'm tired, stop nagging. We'll talk after I finish this project. My voice was calm, as if I were recounting someone else's story. That document just gave me a clear answer. It told me to stop asking. You wanted a divorce? Maybe you forgot, or maybe you didn't take it seriously. But I did. Lucas looked like I'd punched the air out of him. His mouth hung open, his chest heaving, but no words came out. He slumped back in his chair, running his hands through his hair, rubbing his face hard. It was a stupid impulse. Drunk and pressured, I didn't mean it. I forgot all about it the next day. Wanqing, we've been married for 5 years. 5 years, over a paper I signed wasted? You're really going to divorce me over this? Do you have so little faith in our marriage? It's not that I lack faith in the marriage. The last bit of warmth in my heart had gone cold. It's you, Lucas. It's you, who always puts work first. Who shoves all the family responsibilities onto me. Who treats my feelings and needs as nothing but nagging. I've lost faith in the man I once loved. His face was a mask of pain and confusion, with a hint of wounded betrayal. He feels betrayed? My betrayal? Who did I talk to for 5 years? I've been slowly speaking these past 5 years, as if brushing away the dust that settled in my heart. I was like a wife in a living widowhood. I supported your projects. I endured late nights and your mother's harsh words. I thought if I was just understanding enough, just enough to see this home needed you. I needed you. But you didn't. You drifted further and further away. You came home less, spoke with more indifference. That document, it was just the final straw. It made me see clearly that while I was desperately holding this marriage together, you had already secured your own exit strategy. You even laid down the tracks for your departure yourself. Lucas, I said finally, my voice heavy with exhaustion and resignation. I'm not divorcing you because I found that agreement. I'm divorcing you because that agreement finally made me realize this marriage has been dead for a long time. Would just be mutual torture. This is better for both of us now. A gentle piano melody flowed through the cafe. Sunlight through the window cast a bright band on the table between us, yet it couldn't reach into each other's eyes. Lucas sat there, stunned. The anger and urgency had vanished from his face, leaving only a profound, almost dazed pain, as if he'd just realized Something immensely important was slipping through his fingers. He looked at me, his expression complex: remorse, unwillingness, struggle. But more than anything, it was a look of utter defeat by the facts. He probably never imagined that his casual neglect, his offhand remarks, even that one drunken, foolish signature, would, like tiny streams, eventually converge into a flood, powerful enough to breach the dam. When drowning, panicking, trying to grasp for something, he found the shore was already empty. His lips moved. But in the end, only a few pale, powerless words came out. I didn't know it would be like this. It was true. He probably didn't know his indifference hurt. Didn't know his absence could turn a home cold. Didn't know that a piece of paper he'd forgotten about would become the most concrete reason for a woman whose heart had died to finally leave. But whether he knows or not doesn't matter anymore. I stood up, picked up my bag. My lawyer will handle assets. I'll come by this weekend to pack up my things from the house. Let's not contact unless necessary. No look back. I walked out. The hot wind hit me again. This time, what I felt wasn't heaviness, but a slight dizziness from breaking free of my shackles, and a clear, determined resolve for the unknown road ahead. Back in the coffee shop, that man was probably still reeling from the sudden upheaval, but my path was already stretching out beneath my feet, leading away from him. That weekend, I went back as agreed to pack my things. I'd scheduled the movers for 2 p.m. The key slid into the lock, turned, and the door opened. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Messy takeout containers on the table. The air still held a trace of cigarette smoke, and the stale smell of a place left unattended. Lucas hadn't cleaned up lately. I went straight to the bedroom closet. There wasn't much to begin with. I packed it into boxes quickly. The skincare and makeup on the vanity went carefully into their own storage case. The nightstand held a few books I often read, some scattered pieces of jewelry, and old photos. I took the books and jewelry. I hesitated over the photos, but left them. The good times were real, but they belong in the past now. My study had even less. Just a few professional books, and a commemorative mug from my old company. I took the books, looked at the mug, then left it on the desk. Finally, the kitchen. My favorite set of dishes, a few small pots I used for stews. Things I'd bought piece by piece, with care. They held memories. I wrapped them carefully in newspaper and packed them away. Lucas never showed up the whole time I was packing. Just as well. It spared us one last awkward scene. 2 hours later, everything was packed into a few boxes and 2 suitcases. 5 years of my life in this apartment. It all fit into less than expected. In this so-called home, I'd only ever occupied a tiny corner. Movers loaded the truck. I locked the door, slid the key back under it, and took one last look at the door number that had held so many of my hopes, and, ultimately, my disappointments. Then I walked downstairs. My new rented apartment was in an older complex. Small, but close to work. I slowly put everything in its place by myself. By the time the last item found its spot, evening was falling. I stood in the middle of the tiny living room, looking around. No trace of Lucas here. No lingering tension from his critical mother's occasional visits. No shadow cast by that cold set of divorce papers. Here, there was only me, and the life I was choosing for myself. The air felt free. It even smelled faintly of fresh paint and sunshine. I made myself a simple bowl of noodles, ate it, then sat down at the desk that wasn't quite fully organized yet. Opened up my laptop. A classmate referred another freelance gig, designing the entire visual identity for a new cafe. Budget much higher. Researched target market. Worked late on mood boards. Exhausted, went to bed. The new mattress is a bit firm, but I slept deep. No dreams all night. Days just kept passing like that. Work the day job. Freelance at night. Weekends either pulling overtime, or buying plants to decorate my place. Sometimes meeting up with a long-lost friend for a meal. Life was busy, but full. On Lucas Chen's side, aside from his lawyer contacting me once to iron out the specifics of the asset split, I insisted on sticking to the agreement. Didn't take a penny more. Didn't leave a penny on the table. We haven't been in touch since. He just vanished from my life. Just like he'd quietly checked out of my emotional world before. It was his mother, Catherine Wong, who somehow got hold of my new number. She called one night. The line connected, and her shrill voice immediately pierced my eardrum. Sophie Wanqing-su, you've got some nerve. Divorcing without so much as a word to anyone, and taking so much of my son's money. How can you be so heartless? Listen here, don't you get smug. A woman as ungrateful as you. You'll pay. Return the extra money now. Or else I won't let this go. I listened to her frantic tirade on the other end. Waited for her voice to falter for a second, then spoke calmly. Mrs. Wong. First of all, Lucas and I had a consensual divorce. The asset split is in black and white, legally binding. Everything I took was rightfully mine. Not a cent extra. Secondly, we are divorced. I have no relation to you, or to Lucas, anymore. Please do not call this number to harass me again. If you continue, I will have no choice but to report it, and pursue my legal options. I didn't wait for a response. Hung up. Then blocked that number too. Peace at last. Turns out, cutting off those suffocating ties wasn't as hard as I'd imagined. Just takes a little courage and a clear sense of boundaries. I poured even more energy into my job and freelance work. The cafe's design concept got the client's approval. They ended up referring other clients my way. Slowly, I was building a bit of a reputation. My income was better than when I was just doing admin work. Busy, sure, but every dollar was earned by my own skill. Spent guilt-free. Sometimes after work, walking back to my apartment alone, I think of Lucas Chen, but it's not longing. Like a reflection, recalling our newlywed sweetness. Remembering the growing distance that came later, the helplessness. His expression when the divorce was finalized. Shock, bewilderment. No more hate. No love either. It's like watching someone else's movie. I remember the plot, but the emotion has been drained from it. Time really is the best healer, and the best sobering agent. It's made me see clearly, a relationship. If all that's left is one-sided giving and waiting, then ending it isn't a loss. It's a release. About 2 months later, I stopped by my usual grocery store after work. In the fresh produce section, picking out some ribs, I caught a familiar figure in my peripheral vision. It was Lucas Chen. He was pushing a cart. Inside were a few boxes of instant noodles and some fruit. He looked worn down, stubble shadowing his jaw. His shirt was wrinkled. He was staring at his phone. Brow furrowed. I instinctively wanted to avoid him. Too late. He looked up. His gaze swept past, then stopped. Locked on. We stood there, separated by a few rows of refrigerated cases. Our eyes met in that chill, grocery store air. He froze for a second. Then a whole mess of emotions flickered in his eyes. Surprise. A hint of something like awkwardness. Even a touch of panic. His lips parted, like he wanted to speak. I gave him a slight nod. An acknowledgement. Then I looked away. Focused back on selecting the ribs I needed. As if he were just any other stranger. Got the ribs. Weighed, tagged, priced. I pushed my cart toward the spice aisle. Didn't look back at him. I could feel his eyes on me, though. Following me until I turned the corner, out of his sight. Checked out. Left the store. The late summer evening breeze carried a first hint of cool. Carrying my groceries, I walked slowly home, calm. No ripples. No sighs. Like seeing a familiar tree on the street. You know it's there, but it has nothing to do with your life anymore. Back home, I blanched the ribs, put them in the clay pot. Added corn and carrots, let it all simmer slowly. Soon, the kitchen was filled with a warm, savory smell. Continued tweaking the color scheme for a logo design. Keep modifying a logo's color scheme. Outside, the city lights began to wink on my life, in this ordinary, everyday warmth. I turned the page calmly, starting a brand new chapter. And on that page, Lucas Chen's name was nowhere to be found. There was only me, Sophie Wanqing Su, and the path I chose for myself. Once life gets on a new track, time just flies by. It's been almost 6 months since the divorce. My apartment feels more like home. I've got some pothos and mint growing on the balcony, they're thriving. The bookshelf is crammed with new books and reference materials. My work desk is covered in design sketches and color swatches. Samples are piled up a bit messy, but it's filled with the energy of a life I actually love. Freelance gigs are slowly picking up. Even some small startups are reaching out for part-time work. Brand consultant, the income is steadily increasing. I quit that admin job I'd been stuck in for years. Officially registered my own little studio. Even though it's just me, seeing my design studio on business cards gives me this real, solid sense of accomplishment. Busy, fulfilled. Sure, there are nights the stress keeps me up. But I wake up, grab a coffee, and get back in the fight. Feels like every bit of effort is actually paying off, you know? News about Lucas Chen trickles in now and then. From old coworkers or mutual acquaintances. Heard after that big project wrapped up. He was in a funk for a while. Seems like he's thrown himself into new work since. But never really got his spark back. His mom's still bitter about the marriage scam. Can't stop complaining to anyone who'll listen. Though most people just shrug it off with a laugh. That news is like a breeze over water, a slight ripple. Then calm again. My focus has shifted long ago. His highs and lows feel so distant now. Then, one Friday evening, I was rushing to finish a last-minute job. In the studio, a partitioned room in my apartment. Worked past 9 p.m. My stomach was growling. Too lazy to cook. Got takeout from the new kanji place. Place was packed. Still had to wait for a table at this hour. I got a number and stood in the cramped waiting area by the door. Scrolling through client feedback on my phone. Sophie Wanqing? A hesitant, yet familiar voice came from beside me. I looked up. It was Lucas Chen, standing just a few steps away, holding a waiting number 2. He looked better than last time at the supermarket. Casual jacket, jeans, hair neatly trimmed. But the tired look in his eyes remained. It's still obvious. He's looking at me. His expression is a mix of surprise and awkwardness. I give a slight nod, a greeting. My tone is flat. Like I'm talking to a neighbor I barely know. Getting some kanji? He seems to be grasping for something to say. His gaze sweeps over me. He glances at my phone screen. Latest post, then quickly shifts away. To go. My answer is short. I look back down at my phone. I don't reply. The awkward tension thickens. Thankfully, the number is called soon after. It's my turn. I put my phone away, tell the clerk my kanji order for takeout. Then step aside to wait. Lucas Chen is still standing there. He doesn't come forward. I can feel his eyes on my back. Probing. Maybe there's more in that look. I don't turn. The kanji is packed up quickly. I pay, pick up the bag, and turn to leave. Sophie. Lucas suddenly calls out to me again. His voice cuts through the shop's din, clear as day. He takes a step closer, closing the distance. I can smell a faint scent on him. Not his usual business cologne, but something cleaner, like soap. Yes? I stop and look at him. He looks at me, lips parting as if to speak. But he doesn't know where to start. Finally, he gets out one sentence. You look, well. The greeting is stiff, even a little clumsy. Thanks. You too. If there's nothing else. I should go. The kanji's getting cold. I don't give him a chance to circle back. I just nod. Turn, and walk out of the kanji shop. The evening air is cool. I walk back to my apartment, the warm container of kanji in my hand. My mind is strangely quiet. No particular feelings turn inside. I just think, time really does change everything. The man who once held the most important place in my life. Now, even a simple, polite greeting Seems to come out strained, forced. And between us, all that's left are these chance encounters, these few meaningless, even distant, exchanges. Maybe that's for the best. Clean break. A new path. About a month later. On a Saturday morning, I'm on the balcony watering my mint plant. When my phone rings. It's a local number I don't recognize. I answer. Hello? Hello? Is this Sophie Wanching? A tearful, middle-aged woman's voice with a heavy accent. It sounds vaguely familiar. Yes, this is she. Who is this? Wanching, dear, it's me, Auntie Wang. Your ex-husband Lucas's mother's old colleague. Do you remember? I even attended your wedding back in the day. Oh, right, I remember now. A distant relative from Lucas's hometown. We met a couple of times. Hello, Aunt Catherine. What's going on, Aunt Catherine? You need to get to the hospital, Sophie. It's Lucas's mom. She had a sudden stroke. They're trying to stabilize her now. Lucas is out of town on business, he can't get back. He's frantic on the phone, and there's no one here to handle things. I know about you too. But she's still Lucas's mother. For old time's sake, could you just come and help out? The hospital paperwork is a complete mess. Aunt Catherine was babbling, her voice thick with panic. Lucas's mother had a stroke. I paused. That old woman who always found fault with everything I did. The one who called me ungrateful over the phone. I steadied my voice. Aunt Catherine, Lucas and I are divorced. Legally, I have no connection to his mother. And frankly, our relationship was never good. You should really call other relatives. Or hire a nurse. Me going there, it's not appropriate. Sophie, you can't say that. Aunt Catherine sounded desperate. She's still an elder. This is a matter of life and death. Lucas won't be back for hours. The hospital needs someone to sign forms and pay, now. Just do an old lady a favor, okay? Come see what's happening. Please, I'm begging you. Her pleas came through the receiver. I gripped my phone. My conscience wars with me. Logic screamed at me not to go. I had severed all ties with that family. Going would just invite trouble, maybe even get me blamed. But, it was a human life. And Lucas was stuck out of town. I took a deep breath. Which hospital? What's the room number? Aunt Catherine rattled off the address and ward immediately. Aunt Catherine, I can come to help assess the situation. I'll liaise, but I won't sign. Or make any decisions. Once Lucas or another relative gets here. I'm leaving. Understood? Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Sophie. Please hurry. Aunt Catherine kept thanking me. I hung up. Changed out of my loungewear, grabbed my bag and keys. Hailed a cab and headed straight for the hospital. On the way, I texted Lucas Chen. Your mom had a stroke. She's at City Hospital ER. Auntie Wang couldn't reach you, so she contacted me. Informed them. Can only help coordinate hospital and caregiver. Won't overstep. Send someone here ASAP. Message sent. Radio silence. Probably on a flight, or just busy. I rushed to the hospital. The hallway outside the ER was chaos. Auntie Wang was huddled with a few unfamiliar relatives. Arguing anxiously. When she saw me, she charged over like I was a lifeline. Sophie, thank God you're here. The doctor just came out. She's stable for now. But needs ICU. Family must handle paperwork and payment. I nodded, first finding the nurse's station to get the full picture. A sudden cerebral hemorrhage. Significant bleeding. They performed emergency procedures. But she needs ICU for close monitoring. The risk is still very high. Then I assisted Auntie Wang and the others. With the hospitalization and ICU transfer paperwork. We used Mrs. Chen's own bank card for the deposit. Auntie Wang knew the PIN. Through the hospital's official channels. I contacted a caregiver with a solid reputation. Arranged preliminary care. Throughout this whole process. I did not sign my name on a single next of kin line. For every spot requiring family confirmation, I had Auntie Wang or another relative present. Contact Lucas or another immediate family member. I was just a calm, detached outsider, helping sort the logistics. By the time we finished, it was already afternoon. Lucas's call finally came through. His voice was hoarse, frantic, background noise chaotic. Sophie Wanqing, I just landed. How's my mom? What's the situation? I told him clearly, doctor's report, procedures handled. The caregiver hired. Lucas was silent briefly. Then he spoke again. His voice was thick. Thank you. Thank you. It'll be another 2 hours before I can get to the hospital. Could you, please stay with her a bit longer? I'm on my way. The caregiver is there. Auntie Wang and the others are too. I'll wait until you arrive, hand everything over clearly. I said. 2 hours later. Lucas arrived at the hospital, looking utterly worn. His face was pale, eyes bloodshot. When he saw me, his expression was a complex mix, gratitude, guilt, and an unspoken heaviness. I handed him all the receipts. The caregiver's contact info, the doctor's instructions. I gave him a brief rundown. That's the basic situation. Caregiver prepaid, 3-day receipt. Handle the follow-up. That's all. I'm ready to leave. Sophie Wanqing Su, Lucas Chen calls out to me. His voice is hoarse. Really, thank you. I didn't think you'd come. Don't mention it. If anyone else were in this situation, and I had the means to help, I would. I look at him, my tone calm. But this doesn't mean anything. I have no connection to you or your mother anymore. If something like this happens again, please contact your family or friends directly. I'm leaving. I leave the antiseptic hospital corridor. And the sound of muffled sobs. I step out of the hospital building. The evening sky is painted a warm orange-red by the setting sun. I did what I felt was right. It had nothing to do with old feelings. It was just basic human decency. And a bit of kindness that hasn't completely died. But that's it. Help isn't forgiveness or going back. Turned away from his a long time ago. And this time? I walk it with even more resolve, and more clarity. Life moves forward. My studio is slowly gaining traction. The projects I'm getting are bigger and bigger. Started hiring part-time assistants. Signed up for weekly pottery class. The feeling of clay taking shape under my fingers is peaceful. I also picked up a paintbrush again. Not for work. Just for the simple joy of playing with color. Lucas Chen hasn't contacted me directly again. He's trying to edge back in, clumsily. It started with packages. No return address, but I know it's him. Sometimes a box of expensive imported fruit. Sometimes a set of designer brand stationery. I never accept them. I just have the courier send them back. Then he started bumping into me outside my studio. The first time was in the evening, after I finished working late. I saw him standing under a streetlight, holding an insulated bag. Wanqing. He walks over, his voice a bit raspy. Mom's better, talking. She thanks you. You're welcome. I'm glad she's okay. I nod. Preparing to walk around him. He holds the insulated bag out a little. My mom made soup. He pauses. Actually, I made it. I remember you used to like it. I don't take it. The bag hangs in the air between us, awkward. Thanks, but no. I'm watching what I eat lately. It's the truth. I joined a yoga class. I go 3 times a week. The instructor says my posture is much better than it was a month ago. I've also started learning flower arranging. Last week, my teacher said my piece had a real artistic touch. These little things, I never had time for before. Back then, all my time was spent waiting for Lucas Chen to come home. Figuring out what he liked to eat, keeping that always spotless. But cold and soulless showroom of a house. Lucas Chen's hand slowly lowered. He looked at me. There was an emotion in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger. Not impatience. It was bewilderment. Sophie. Can't we really talk? His voice was hoarse. I checked my watch. 3 p.m. Had plans with Wendy to see the new bookstore. 20 minutes. The coffee shop downstairs. We sat by the window. Lucas Chen ordered me a hot milk. He actually remembered I don't drink coffee in the afternoon. That discovery gave me a tiny, sharp pang. But it wasn't pain. A distant irony. Lucas rubbed his hands. A gesture you rarely saw on him. He was always so composed. So effortlessly in control. That agreement? I genuinely forgot. 6 months ago. The company project fell through. I got wasted. My mom was on the phone again, nagging about kids. Remember? We had a fight that day. I nodded. He slammed the door, didn't return until midnight. Next morning, he acted normal. 8. Read news. Tidying the study, I saw a crumpled paper ball. Didn't think much of it. So that was the first draft of the papers. I signed it and just threw it in a drawer. I thought it was just venting. Then the project turned around, got busy, and completely forgot about it. Sophie, that wasn't my real feelings. I took a slow sip of the milk. The temperature was perfect. I know it wasn't a decision you made sober. I set the cup down. That's why I didn't lose it when I found the papers. I didn't come crying to you. I even waited a whole night. To see if you'd remember on your own. Or even just, come hold me. That night? Lucas Chin stayed in the study until 1 a.m. When he came out, I was sitting on the living room sofa. He glanced at me. Still up? Then he walked straight to the bedroom. No hug. No kiss. Not even a single what's wrong? Just like countless nights before. I looked straight into Lucas Chen's eyes, my words measured and clear. What made me decide to leave wasn't that piece of paper. It was that thought when you signed it. It was you casually tossing it aside and forgetting it. It was the 6 months you had to find it, fix it. And you didn't. You made me feel like in this marriage, I was just as unimportant as that forgotten agreement. The color slowly drained from Lucas Chen's face. He opened his mouth, tried to say something. He just stared at his clenched fists. After a long time, Lucas spoke. This past month, I've been thinking about us every single day. You wanted to learn pottery. I asked why. You wanted to go hiking on weekends. I said I was tired. I'd eat a little, then check my phone. Sophie, I don't think I ever really saw you. He murmured, almost to himself. Suddenly, I remembered our 5th wedding anniversary. I cooked a whole table of food, waited for him until 9 p.m. He returned with flowers from his secretary. During dinner, he took 3 work calls. Finally, I said, Lucas, can we just talk? He said go ahead, eyes glued to his phone. And then? I just couldn't say anything. Now he says he's reflecting. Maybe he really is. But some things, once they're broken, they're broken. I stood up. Picked up my bag. Lucas, thank you for saying all this today. But for me, it's in the past. I'm doing well now. Really. He looked up. His eyes were a little red. Is there any chance for us? I shook my head. Not out of spite. Not for revenge. It was a truly calm, final shake. The divorce is final. Parting ways is our best respect now. Walking out of the cafe, the sunlight was warm. Wendy's car was already parked by the curb. She rolled down the window and waved at me. Once I got in, Wendy asked carefully, he came again? I just hummed in response. Don't you dare go soft on him. Men like that only miss what's gone. It's selfish. I smiled but didn't say anything. The truth is, I'm not punishing Lucas. I'm just finding myself again. That woman named Sophie Wanqing-su, who was slowly disappearing inside that marriage. My phone buzzed. A message from my flower arrangement teacher. The text seemed to carry a smile. Sophie, there's a small exhibition next week. I'd like to recommend your work. Interested? I typed back. Very interested. Thank you. The car drove past familiar streets. I saw a new pottery studio had opened on the roadside. Elegant, simple vases were displayed in the window. I remembered mentioning wanting to learn pottery to Lucas. His dismissive look. Now, I can just walk in myself. No permission needed. No schedule to work around. No fear of being shot down. I said to Wendy, "Come with me somewhere next weekend?" "I want to learn pottery." Wendy laughed, slapping the steering wheel. "Now that's more like it." "Sophie Wanching-su, let me tell you something. You're in a much better place now. There's a light in your eyes again." I glance at the rearview mirror. The 31-year-old in the mirror has faint crow's feet. But her gaze is clear. She's wearing a simple shirt and jeans. Her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. She's smiling. I think maybe this is what rebirth looks like. Not some dramatic, triumphant comeback, but slowly, piece by piece, taking back the life you once gave away. And putting it back in your own hands. As for Lucas Chen, he might genuinely be remorseful. He might even become a better man. That's in the past. I'm moving forward alone. The day I got the divorce papers was overcast. A light drizzle started as we left the county clerk's office. Lucas Chen stood on the steps. A patch of his gray suit was darkened by the rain. Like he hadn't fully processed it. He looked at me. His lips moved, but all he said was, "It's raining. Let me give you a ride." I shook my head. I opened my compact umbrella. No need. I called a car. The rideshare was waiting right at the curb. The driver was a woman in her 40s. As I got in, "All done?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. As the car pulled away, I looked back. Lucas Chen was still standing at the entrance. The gray suit was darkened by the rain in one spot. His silhouette looked a little frail against the curtain of drizzle. Not the upright man I remembered, but that look was just a look. The car turned the corner. His figure disappeared from view. I zipped the divorce papers into my bag. No overwhelming sense of relief like I'd imagined. No sadness either. Just a very calm feeling of, it's over. My new apartment is a small one-bedroom in the old town. But it has a small south-facing balcony. On moving day, Wendy Zhou and 2 other friends came to help. I didn't have much. 5 years of marriage. My personal items filled only 7 boxes. As Wendy helped me unpack, she said, "You look so sparsely, girl. You have so little makeup." "Your clothes are all basics," she said as I shelved books. I smiled. Who was I dressing up for? Lucas Chen didn't care, and I couldn't muster the energy myself. It's different now. Last weekend, I went shopping. I tried on a ginger yellow dress I'd never dare wear before. The salesperson said it brightened my fair skin. I looked in the mirror for a long time. I bought it. Just to make myself happy. After the bookshelf was set up. After arranging the bookshelf, I placed a few new books on the most convenient shelf. Not the economics and management titles Lucas Chen likes, but the novels and travelogues I've always wanted to read. And a beginner's pottery guide. Next to it sits my first pottery piece from last week. A lopsided little mug. Ugly, but in a cute way. Wendy Zhou leans in for a look, picking up the mug. "You made this?" "Artsy." I laugh. "Oh, come on. Don't just flatter me." But the instructor said, "For a first attempt, this is actually pretty good." My friend Xiaomin chimes in, her tone wistful. "Wanqing, you're really living the life now. Having your own time, learning whatever you want. The kids consume me. I'm forgetting who I am." I give her shoulder a gentle pat. I used to say that too. Back in that marriage. That perfect-looking role. But demanded constant compromise on the inside. I almost lost Sophie Wanqing-su completely. Evening comes, my friends have all gone home. I sit alone in my nearly settled new place. Opened a seltzer. Past the balcony, old rooftops. The setting sun paints the tiles a warm gold. Kids' laughter and playful shouts drift up from below. The smell of a neighbor cooking dinner. It's ordinary. Solid. Real. My phone screen lights up. A text from Lucas Chen. The first since the divorce. "You forgot your pothose plant. Still in the study. Want me to drop it off?" I think for a moment, then reply. "No need. You handle it. That pothose, bought when we married. Had it for 5 years. I used to think plants had feelings. That you couldn't just abandon them. But now, some things, you just have to let go." I can buy a new one. Start fresh. Lucas doesn't reply. A week later. A package arrives. I open it. Inside, a beautiful white ceramic pot. With a mint plant. No name. But I know who sent it. The crisp, clean scent of mint fills the air. Invigorating. I place it on the balcony. Next to 2 new succulents I bought. As I'm watering them, it occurs to me. Lucas probably never knew I'm allergic to mint. Too much contact makes my skin itch. 5 years of marriage. He never noticed that detail. I don't throw the mint away. I just move it to a corner of the balcony. Let it grow there. A little reminder. Life slowly finds its new rhythm. After quitting my admin job, I run my own design studio full-time. The hours are mine. The income covers everything, with some left over. The flower arrangement teacher told me about that exhibition. My piece actually got selected. On opening day, Wendy Zhou brought Xiaoman along to show their support. In her voice, dried branches, fresh flowers. An elderly visitor stood in front of it for a long, long time. Finally, she walked over to me with a gentle smile and said, "Young lady, this piece has power. Withered wood meeting spring. A good omen." I thanked her. That lingering bit of uncertainty about the future inside me suddenly settled down. Another month passed. I was grocery shopping at the supermarket when I ran into Lucas Chen's mother, Catherine Wang. She clearly saw me, hesitated for a moment, but then pushed her cart over anyway. She was dressed in a proper suit, her hair impeccably styled. She glanced at the items in my cart, organic vegetables, yogurt, and a small bouquet of discounted flowers. "Wanqing," she said, "how have you been lately?" I nodded. "I've been good, Auntie." She fell silent for a few seconds, then said, "Chen moved out last month. He wanted quiet, lost weight." I stayed silent. Just looked at her quietly. Catherine Wang sighed. It was a complicated sigh. "I used to always think that you weren't good enough for Chen. Now, looking back, maybe our family wasn't lucky. You're a good girl. You were too quiet, so they forgot you had a temper." I said, "Auntie, let's not talk about the past anymore. Let's both just look forward." We paid separately at checkout, leaving the supermarket. Catherine Wang suddenly turned back and said to me, her voice very soft, "Wanqing, take good care of yourself." I smiled at her. That was the last time I saw anyone from Lucas Chen's side. Later, from mutual friends, I heard bits and pieces. Lucas Chen quit his old, high-stress job. He switched to a more relaxed position. He started seeing a therapist every week. And even signed up for some kind of positive psychology course. "He's changed so much," a friend said, her tone full of feeling. "He actually asks people how they're doing now, instead of just talking about himself." A pity. What's the pity? The friend didn't say, but we all understood. When autumn came, I finally made a decent piece in my pottery class. A set of 2 cups. One deep blue, one off-white. I carved wave patterns onto their sides by hand. The teacher praised me, said I had a natural talent, suggested I open a small studio for custom orders. I brought both cups home. One for myself, and the other I gave to Wendy Zhou. Wendy cradled the cup, utterly enchanted. "I'm going to drink from this every single day. Maybe some artistic vibes will rub off on me." We both laughed. Sycamore leaves yellowed outside my window. Sipping hot tea from that deep blue cup. Tried a new osmanthus oolong, rich and complex. My phone's gallery still held a few old photos. Some from the wedding, some from the honeymoon. Some from an ordinary weekend at home. I saw the woman in the photos, clinging to Lucas. Her smile docile and sweet. She felt both familiar and a stranger. I didn't delete them. They're part of my life story. No need to erase it. It's just, they've been moved to a folder labeled the past. They're no longer on the homepage of my life. Come the weekend, I went to my usual pottery class. As I worked on the wheel, the clay spun beneath my fingertips, slowly taking the shape I envisioned. Therapeutic process demands total, clutter-free focus. A new male student took the seat next to me. He was all thumbs, his clay collapsing every time. The instructor told him to watch me. I demonstrated once. He tried to copy, but failed. I finally spoke up. My tone gentle, I said, your grip is too tense. Relax. The clay has its own life, work with it. Not force it. He tried again, and it was much better. After class, he walked over. Thanks for that, he said. I'm Ethan Chen. I teach at the university nearby. Taking this to de-stress. What about you? I said. I'm Sophie Sue. I'm here, to find myself, I guess. He paused for a second, then smiled. That's a good reason. We walked out of the studio together. The autumn sun was warm. Golden ginkgos lined the streets. Which way? I'm heading to the subway. Me too. Okay. We walked side by side on the sidewalk, carpeted with ginkgo leaves. We didn't force conversation. Just chatted a bit about the class. About the weather. It was easy. Natural. At the subway entrance, Ethan said, see you in class next week. I nodded. See you next week. As I swiped my card to enter, I glanced back. Ethan was still standing there by the entrance. He gave a small wave. Then he turned and melted into the crowd. The train rumbled in. I stepped into the carriage and found a seat by the window. Outside, the city's lights blurred past. In my bag, the divorce decree lay quietly in an inner pocket. And in my phone's notes app, I had listed the design draft due next week, the clay colors to buy, and a new recipe I wanted to try. The train moved smoothly onward, carrying me toward a brand new life of my own. No dramatic comeback. No orchestrated encounters. Just day by day, shaping my life into what I truly want. And I think that's enough. As for the man who once hurt me, and made me grow, the one named Lucas Chen, I hope he's found his own peace, too. But our lives, like two lines that once crossed and then parted, will now stretch toward different horizons. And that's good. The station announcement calls my stop. I stand up, smooth my coat, and follow the crowd toward the doors. Outside, another ordinary, yet precious, day awaits.